Live from coastal Sussex County, Delaware, this is Blue Coast Talk. Streaming direct to you, your neighbors, and beyond. Today's host is Jack Bucchioni. Let's listen in.
Hi, I'm your host, Jack Bucchioni. Today we have a special day. Our guest is U.S. Senator Chris Coons from Delaware. Give a listen. Welcome, Senator, to Blue Coast Talk.
Thanks, Jack. It's wonderful to be on with you. I look forward to our conversation today.
All right, Senator, why don't we jump right in? Can you kindly paint a picture of your personal background for the new folks that have moved into Sussex County?
Well, Jack, I've been representing the state of Delaware in the U.S. Senate for 10 years. Before that, I spent 10 years in county government in Newcastle County. I was the county council president for 4 years and then the county executive for 6 years. And county government employs about 2,000 people, has about a $230 million operating budget. And Newcastle County is responsible for a wide range of services from police and paramedics and 911 dispatch to land use planning and libraries and housing and senior services. It was a great experience and a valuable introduction to what it means to work through a budget process and to be accountable to the public. For 8 years, I was in-house counsel for a global manufacturing company, and my educational background is I have a college degree in chemistry and in political science, and I have a master's in ethics from Divinity School and a law degree, and I'm a member of the Delaware Bar. I was raised in Hockessin, and I've lived in Delaware since I was 6 years old. So although I'm not a native, I'm just getting the hang of things. I'm in my 50th year as a Delaware resident.
All right. If we can change subjects a little bit, Sussex County is climate change is big to us, as you know. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, Jack. As a senator, one of the things I've worked hard on is trying to invest in and advance invention, innovation, and research that will help improve our energy profile and help reduce our emissions. And I'd be happy to talk about that in more detail. The most recent thing I've been able to get done on climate is to convene and move forward a bipartisan climate solutions caucus. As of this month, there are 14 senators, 7 Democrats, 7 Republicans, who are members of the caucus. And the price of admission is you have to publicly say that you agree that the climate is changing dramatically, that human activity is causing this change, and that we must act. And lots of surveys of the American people show that we understand that bipartisan action is more likely to be sustained. Unfortunately, a lot of the bold actions that were taken by the Obama-Biden administration in terms of emissions and climate change have simply been reversed by the current Trump administration. So I'm trying hard in partnership with Mike Braun, who is the Republican co-lead of this caucus, to get us as a group to endorse bills that can move forward, that can get floor time, that can be passed in this Senate or the next. At the end of the last Senate, I introduced, along with Senator Jeff Flake of Arizona, the first bipartisan carbon fee and dividend bill. And I've renewed that introduction in this Congress. Although I have not yet gotten a Republican, I have several Democrats who are co-sponsors. I'd be happy to talk about any of those issues, Jack.
Senator, the Asset Act is very important to Delaware. Could you share that?
Well, Delaware is one of more than a dozen states that has looked at a range of basic federal support programs, whether it's LIHEAP, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program that helps with making homes more energy efficient, or it's TANF, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, or SNAP, formerly known as food stamps. These are programs that help people get out of poverty. And going back to the Reagan era, they've had asset limits that require you to have no more than, say, $2,000 or $3,000 in total assets. That's actually made it more expensive to administer these programs because someone from the state agency has to come and certify, has to basically inspect you and your home and your holdings and ownings to make sure you don't have more than a few $1,000s. And second, it means you're economically vulnerable, that if you lose health care or lose a job or lose your car or have a fire, you don't have enough resources to get your family back on their feet. So Delaware wisely did away with these asset limits a number of years ago, as have states both red and blue across the country. I've introduced a bill with Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, and we have a dozen co-sponsors at this point, that would eliminate the asset limits for these 3 federal programs, and then for Social Security disability would raise it because it hasn't been raised in decades. I'm hoping we can persuade a Republican to join us in moving this bill forward. It actually scores as saving money and as making these programs more effective and more efficient.
Senator, you've been down here quite a bit and visited some of the veterans. I do understand you have quite a few veterans on your staff. And do you have any words to the veterans in Sussex County?
Sure. First, that, as the son and brother-in-law and nephew of veterans, all of them were Army. I have a deep appreciation and respect for those who sacrifice and who serve to keep our nation safe and to keep it strong. And I'm blessed to have some terrific people working both in policy and in constituent advocacy for me who are veterans. And one of the things that brings me the most joy is when we're able to work a constituent case in a way that brings a positive result for Delawareans, and in particular for Delawareans who are veterans.
Senator, mentioning constituent services, our population is booming down here. The new folks always ask me, how do they get in touch with you? Could you paint a picture?
Sure. The easiest way is through my website, which is coons.senate.gov, and we've got a form right there for constituent service, which if you fill out, someone will get right back to you. You can also just call my main office, 302-573-6345. I have 5 people in Delaware who full-time focus exclusively on constituent service. So whether it's Medicare or Medicaid, immigration, veterans issues, housing issues, there's lots of ways that we can be helpful. And if you call us with a question that isn't federal, we're happy to help you find the relevant government, whether it's state or municipal or local or county, that should be able to help you with that issue. Let me give you, if I can, Jack, just 2 or 3 quick examples of recent constituent cases that have brought me a sense of satisfaction or joy that we're able to help Delawareans. In one case, a woman, her husband passed away. She knew she was entitled to Social Security survivors benefits. She called, she applied. She didn't get a prompt or timely or appropriate response. And one of the folks in my Wilmington office was able to expedite a review of her case and get her the full benefits and the back pay benefits to which she was entitled. We recently had another case of someone who'd been denied a Social Security disability determination despite having full documentation and lots of the background necessary, and we were able to advocate for him and get him that determination. One that made me quite happy was to hear about how my veterans advocate, Cindy, using a new statute that I co-sponsored that helps those who were in the Blue Water Navy but were exposed during the Vietnam conflict to Agent Orange and other toxic materials. It helped him expedite and get successfully a 100% disability determination. He is tragically suffering from stage 4 cancer, likely doesn't have that long to live. His initial disability filing was a long time ago, was more than a decade ago. And Cindy was able to secure for him not just the full disability determination, but a really substantial back pay for the years that he had waited for the Navy, for the Department of Defense and the Veterans Administration to finally recognize that his service-connected disability was what is causing his now stage 4 cancer. It's a great win for Cindy, and on behalf of a veteran who served and sacrificed for all of us and whose exposure to toxins during his service to our country was causally linked to his illness.
Senator, I know you've been busy and you're real busy now. To wrap this up, do you have a message for the folks in Sussex County?
Well, first and foremost, that I'm blessed to represent people in all 3 of our counties, and I take seriously the responsibility of representing every Delawarean. And that's regardless of how you vote, whether you vote, or what community you're from. So please don't make the mistaken assumption that I'm only interested in representing people of my own party or of my own county. That's not true. In fact, it makes me in many ways happier to be able to advocate successfully for people who maybe don't agree with me politically, but who still deserve to be vigorously represented, whether it's in Washington or on your behalf as a constituent with a federal agency. I think that we're blessed in Delaware to have a great quality of life, great connection, great communities. Lots of people have moved here recently because of the very low property taxes. But that also means we need to work together to find ways that we can support training programs, whether in high schools or in college, that'll make sure we've got a workforce that'll meet our needs as all of us are aging, that we can attract and retain specialists and world-class nurses and physicians, that we can sustain some of the institutions that have made Delaware a special place, such as our volunteer fire companies. And in particular in Sussex, that the mixture of the beach and resort community with the agricultural traditions of central and western Sussex can be sustained. We need to improve our quality of life long term, and that means we need to listen to each other, respect each other, and invest in our future. And I'd be honored if I had a chance this November to be elected again to represent the folks of Sussex County and the whole state of Delaware in Washington for the next 6 years.
Well, there you have it. U.S. Senator Chris Coons, thanks for stopping by Blue Coast Talk. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack. Great to be on with you.
Thanks for joining U.S. Senator Chris Coons at Blue Coast Talk. We hope you enjoyed today's program.